Have you ever heard of a race so grueling, so utterly demanding, that just finishing it is considered a monumental achievement? I'm talking about the Sydney to Melbourne Ultra Marathon, a staggering 875 kilometers, or 544 miles, run over several days. In 1983, this race was about to witness something nobody could have ever predicted. All thanks to a 61-year-old potato farmer from regional Victoria, Australia. His name was Cliff Young, and his story is one of the most inspiring and unbelievable tales in all of sporting history. Picture this. It's the day of the race. The starting line is crowded with elite, world-class athletes. They're all kitted out in the latest running gear, sponsored by big brands, their bodies honed to perfection for this exact moment. And then, shuffling up to the line, is Cliff. He's wearing overalls over his regular clothes and a pair of gumboots. Not running shoes, gumboots. He looks completely out of place, like someone's granddad who took a wrong turn on his way to the shops. The press and other runners were baffled. They thought it was some kind of joke. Who was this old man? What was he doing here? When a journalist asked him what he was doing, Cliff, in his simple, honest way, just said he was there to run the race. He explained that he grew up on a farm where they couldn't afford horses or tractors. So when the storms rolled in, it was his job to round up the 2,000 sheep on their 2,000-acre property. He'd run for days to get them all in, sometimes for 2 or 3 days straight. To him, running for 5 days seemed perfectly logical. He knew he could do it. The race officials were concerned for his safety. They tried to talk him out of it, convinced he wouldn't last a single day. But Cliff was determined. He paid his entry fee, and just before the race began, he took off his overalls to reveal a pair of long shorts, and he swapped his gumboots for a pair of running shoes. Still, compared to the professional runners, he looked like an amateur. And when the starting gun fired, it seemed everyone's doubts were justified. The elite runners took off at a blistering pace, leaving Cliff far behind, shuffling along in his own unique, slow but steady style. This peculiar running style would later be famously dubbed the Young Shuffle. It wasn't pretty. It looked more like a slow-motion jog or a clumsy-looking shuffle than a proper running form. Spectators and media laughed. It was a spectacle, but no one thought it would last. The conventional wisdom for ultra-marathon runners at the time was to run for about 18 hours and then sleep for 6 hours. This run-sleep cycle was the proven strategy for success. The human body needs rest after all, especially during such an extreme endurance event. All the top runners followed this plan. All of them, except Cliff. No one had told Cliff Young about the strategy. He wasn't a professional athlete. He was a potato farmer. His entire preparation was rounding up sheep. So, when night fell on the first day, the other runners stopped to sleep. But Cliff, he just kept going. He shuffled right on through the night. When the elite runners woke up the next morning, they were shocked to discover that the old man in overalls wasn't just still in the race. He was now ahead of them. They figured he'd have to stop eventually. He couldn't possibly keep this up. But he did. Night after night, while the pros slept, Cliff shuffled on. He'd occasionally take very short naps, maybe an hour or two here and there by the side of the road, but for the most part, he just kept moving forward. His logic was simple. To win the race, you have to stay ahead of everyone else. And you can't do that while you're sleeping. As the days went on, something incredible started to happen. The man everyone had laughed at was now the frontrunner. He was leading the pack of world-class athletes. The media frenzy was insane. Australia was captivated by this humble farmer. People would line the highways to cheer him on, offering him food and encouragement. He became a national hero overnight. His gentle, unassuming nature only made people love him more. When asked what kept him going, he did talk about picturing a big storm coming and knowing he had to get the sheep in before it hit. That was his motivation. His lead grew and grew. He was running on pure grit and determination. His support crew, which was basically just a few friends in a van, did their best to keep him fueled with simple food like porridge and canned fruit. It was a far cry from the specialized nutrition plans of the other athletes. Yet here he was, shuffling his way to victory. After 5 days, 15 hours, and 4 minutes, Cliff Young shuffled across the finish line in Melbourne. He hadn't just won. He had shattered the previous record by almost 2 full days. The next runner didn't finish until about 10 hours later. It was an astonishing, mind-boggling achievement. The 61-year-old farmer, who trained by chasing sheep, had beaten the best endurance athletes in the world by simply not stopping to sleep. But the story doesn't end there. The prize money for first place was 10,000 Australian dollars, a significant sum back in 1983. When Cliff was presented with the winner's check, he was genuinely surprised. He didn't even know there was prize money. He said he ran the race purely for the challenge, not for any reward. And then he did something that cemented his legendary status. He said he didn't need the money, and that he wanted to share it with the other runners who had completed the race. He gave $2,000 to each of the next 5 runners who crossed the finish line, and kept none for himself. His generosity was as immense as his endurance. Cliff Young became an instant icon. He was a symbol of the underdog, proof that with enough heart and a can-do attitude, anything is possible. He showed the world that you don't need fancy gear or a perfect technique to achieve the extraordinary. Sometimes, all you need is an unshakable belief in yourself and the willingness to just keep putting one foot in front of the other. His famous Young Shuffle was later studied by sports scientists. They discovered that it was incredibly energy efficient. Because his feet barely left the ground, it minimized vertical oscillation, saving a huge amount of energy over a long distance. What looked clumsy was actually a brilliant, self-taught method of endurance running. Many ultramarathon runners have since adopted a similar shuffling technique, and the strategy of minimizing sleep has become more common in the sport. Cliff Young, the amateur farmer, had inadvertently revolutionized ultramarathon running. Cliff continued to run for many years. He attempted to run around Australia at the age of 76 to raise money for homeless children. He was a vegetarian from 1973 until his death, citing his compassion for animals. He lived a simple life, never letting his fame change who he was. He was always just Cliff from Beech Forest, the humble farmer with a heart of gold and legs of steel. He passed away in 2003 at the age of 81, but his legacy is immortal. The story of Cliff Young is more than just a sports story. It's a testament to the power of the human spirit. It reminds us not to judge a book by its cover, and that sometimes the most unconventional approaches lead to the most spectacular results. So the next time you're facing a challenge that seems impossible, the next time you feel like the underdog, just remember the 61-year-old potato farmer in his gumboots. Remember his shuffle, his simple determination, and his incredible heart. If Cliff Young can outrun the world's best athletes, then what's stopping you from achieving your own seemingly impossible dreams? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a like and subscribe for more tales of incredible people.